Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take a stack of your sources and dig out the most interesting ideas and insights just for you.
Think of it as getting straight to the core of what's important, maybe with a few unexpected facts along the way.
That's exactly right. And today, we're plunging into a really fascinating look at how technology, collided with the depth tradition during a truly unique time in China.
Yeah, specifically the 2021 Spring Festival.
Right. This holiday is famously centered around massive family reunions, involves, the largest annual human migration on Earth.
But in 2021, everything changed. Just completely different.
Our source material gives us a window into this. We've got excerpts from an article looking at Chinese IT trends.
And a data report from Modou. It's called 2021 SHAR.
And these sources, they detail the profound impact of the COVID-19 prevention measures on that particular holiday.
Which essentially forced everyone to rethink how they'd celebrate. I mean, you just couldn't do it the old way.
So our mission in this deep dive is to explore how this disruption, created new social phenomena, things like this term Yuánnián, how age-old customs adapted using technology, how tech companies saw a huge opportunity here, and what the data, what your sources actually tell us about all those shifts in behavior.
Okay, let's unpack this. It really was an unprecedented moment.
So maybe start by explaining just how Central Spring Festival is culturally. Like, what's the big deal about going home?
Oh, it's absolutely immense.
Yeah.
At its heart, Spring Festival, it's about family reunion, off across 3, sometimes even 4 generations.
Oh.
It's the time for the really important New Year's Eve dinner, the show, which you could maybe compare to Japan's New Year's Eve soba tradition.
Okay, yeah.
And just soaking in that festive atmosphere, the kind of like the feeling around osechi dishes.
Got it.
And the strong emphasis on family values. It's deeply rooted, Confucian influence. That's the real driving force.
And that force manifests physically as the Spring Festival travel rush, or...
Exactly. It's called the world's largest annual human migration for a reason. Trains, buses, they're incredibly crowded.
Yeah.
Getting tickets is notoriously difficult.
Right.
For many people, especially the younger generations working in cities, often far from their rural hometowns, this holiday is their only chance each year to go back.
To see elderly parents, grandparents?
Yeah, and bring the kids or grandkids to visit is hugely important.
But 2021 threw a huge wrench in that plan. The sources talk about these strict COVID-19 prevention policies.
They really did. Long-distance travel was, strongly discouraged. To even think about it, you typically needed a mandatory PCR test taken within 7 days.
Okay.
And many areas required a quarantine period upon arrival. Sometimes 7 days, sometimes up to 14.
Which, considering the main holiday is only of a week long,
Right.
made traditional travel practically impossible for lots of people who had to get back to work soon after.
Exactly. And this situation, it gave rise to a brand new term, Yuánnián.
Yuánnián.
Yeah, it translates roughly to people celebrating New Year in their original location or just staying put in their current city.
And the scale of this was significant, right? Your sources mentioned.
Huge numbers. They estimate around 100 million people became Yuánnián that year.
100 million people staying put.
And the data from that Mobgay report, it confirms the dramatic impact on travel. The total passenger volume during the whole 40-day Spring Festival period in 2021 was just over 98 million.
Okay.
And during the core holiday week itself, estimates suggest fewer than 50 million people actually managed to return home, even including travel just before the holiday started.
That's a massive drop. How does that stack up against previous years?
What is a 22% decrease even from 2020 when COVID was just starting to hit things?
Right.
And a staggering 61% plunge from 2019 levels. 61%. It really shows how disruptive those 2021 policies were.
That data paints a really clear picture of the pandemic policy impact. But your sources also mentioned something interesting, that staying put in cities, this urban year-end stay, was maybe already becoming a bit more common, even before COVID.
That's a really good point, yeah. The travel volume had actually been declining since a peak back in 2014.
Yeah.
So the pandemic massively accelerated an existing trend. And the sources, they highlight other reasons people might stay put. Sometimes it's actually the parents visiting the kids in the cities.
Ah, right. The reverse migration.
Yeah. Or singles might just prefer city life or want to spend the holiday with partners.
And then there's the maybe less discussed, but probably relatable thing, avoiding the family pressure.
Exactly. Those questions like, are you married yet? Or how's the economy in the city? Or is your job secure? Or is your job secure? Right. The sources even mentioned some singles apparently welcomed the government policies, like a convenient excuse not to go home and face all that.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, staying put became the norm for a huge number of people for a whole mix of reasons.
So with so many people physically separated from family, how did they keep up with traditions? Especially things like greetings.
Yeah, this is where technology really stepped in. Take the New Year's greetings, Theo. Traditionally, especially in rural areas, it involves gestures of respect, sometimes kneeling, touching your forehead to the floor,
Okay.
and crucially, receiving red envelopes, with money from elders. City versions are usually more like verbal greetings than getting the envelope.
So how did that go digital, these cloud greetings and cloud red envelopes?
Exactly. Cloud greetings, or Siyuan, meant using video calls. Apps like WeChat, Douyin, which is like TikTok internationally to connect visually,
Makes sense.
and cloud red envelopes, to email, that meant sending money directly, using mobile payment apps, WeChat Pay, Alipay, those big ones.
I remember seeing something about funny greetings going viral around then.
Yes. Your sources mentioned this popular, humorous message that spread online. It was basically like, Grandpa, Happy New Year, cash is fine, Alipay is fine, WeChat Pay is also fine.
Haha, that's great. Captures the moment perfectly.
It really did. And we even saw some really creative solutions pop up, like restaurants setting up these remote family dinners.
How did that work?
They used large monitors to link different branches of the restaurant, so families in different cities could sort of dine together virtually.
That's pretty innovative. It sounds like tech really became the bridge for those greetings and the gift giving across the distance.
It absolutely did.
Yeah.
Even the tradition where adults get small red envelopes for good luck, or CEOs give them to employees on the first workday back, that continued, just digitally.
So technology removed the geographical barriers, allowing these customs to persist, just in a new form.
Precisely.
Now, this unique holiday period, it must have been a massive moment for tech companies, right?
Oh, strategically critical, especially for companies focused on like life services, e-commerce, payments. Spring Festival is traditionally the key period for spreading their reach.
Expanding beyond the big cities.
Exactly. Into what's called the sinking market, those smaller local cities and rural areas. And also reaching the silver hair market, the meat, so the elderly population.
Right, because traditionally it's the urban youth going home who act as the transmitters.
That's the perfect word for it. They're the ones teaching parents, relatives, how to use new apps, how to set up mobile payments, access online services.
Okay.
And even though they weren't traveling home in 2021, they were still online, still connected, still influencing their families, just remotely. Which is why tech companies go all out with these massive red envelope distribution campaigns during Spring Festival.
Ah, yes, the famous red envelope wars. I've heard about those.
Exactly. These campaigns, they're really genius user acquisition tools. They give users incentives, open the app, do a simple task, sometimes just tap a button to get these virtual red envelopes.
Which are basically real money.
Yeah, effectively real money you can use via their payment service. But here's the key. To get the money, you need the services account and the app installed.
So it's a massive push for new users and just getting people engaged with the platform.
Yeah.
The data you have from Maga on this sounds fascinating.
It really highlights the scale. Pinduoduo, the social e-commerce platform, they were a leader in 2021, gave away a staggering 2.8 billion RMB.
2.8 billion RMB. Wow.
Yeah, that's about 47 billion Japanese yen. And get this, they acquired over 10.2 million new users just during that one holiday week.
Over 10 million users in a week from a giveaway. That's incredible. Can you put a cost on that? How much per user?
You can, roughly. Based on the money they distributed and the users they gain, their cost per user works out to around 4,500 Japanese yen.
Okay. Is that good? How does that compare?
Well, your sources compared to estimates for Alibaba, which were calculated differently based on their financial reports, and those suggested Alibaba's cost might be closer to 18,000 Japanese yen per user.
Wow, okay. So Pinduoduo's huge red envelope spend, while incredibly expensive overall, was actually a really cost-effective way for them to grab market share compared to maybe more traditional methods.
That's the key insight. It was a strategic investment, a calculated gamble that paid off in user numbers.
And they weren't the only ones doing this, right?
Oh, no, not at all. Other big platforms, JD, WeChat, QQ, Douyin, threw in 2 billion RMB, Kuaishou 2.1 billion, Weixin 500 million. Many others were distributing large amounts too, even if they didn't always shout about the exact figures.
So it was a real competitive land grab for users during this unique window.
Absolutely. Everyone wanted a piece of that staying put audience.
So with all these people staying put in their cities, what did they actually do with their holiday time, especially online?
Well, mobile internet usage just exploded. The data shows daily active users, DAU, on mobile surpassed 1 billion during Spring Festival.
1 billion users a day.
And the average time spent online per person per day went over 6.5 hours.
6.5 hours a day. That's a lot of screen time. What were they doing?
Gaming was a major activity. Huge. The free game download charts were just dominated by casual games.
Like what?
Simple stuff, easy to pick up, perfect for passing time during a holiday when you're maybe a bit bored. Things like, Jade Master? Walk Master? Brain Burning Master.
Low barrier to entry makes sense for downtime.
Yeah. But here's something really interesting. Online board games, specifically Mahjong and Chinese chess. They had the longest average daily playtime, 4.4 hours.
4 hours a day on Mahjong or chess.
Yeah. The sources suggest this was likely driven by, middle-aged and elderly folks who couldn't gather physically with their usual groups, family, or friends to play offline.
Wow, that connection is really powerful, bringing that traditional social game online because the physical gathering just wasn't an option.
Exactly. And another kind of unexpected success story from that holiday was a horror puzzle game called Paper Bride.
A horror game? During Spring Festival, that seems odd.
It does sound counterintuitive, right? But it tapped into something specific about that year. Its themes were rooted in Chinese culture. It had horror elements, which appealed to some demographics.
Okay.
And crucially, its puzzles were apparently quite difficult. Difficult enough that solving them actually encouraged collaboration among family members who were stuck together.
Ah, so it became a group activity almost.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Plus, it was promoted really well on platforms like TikTok, Douyin, with viral trailers, people sharing playthroughs, parodies.
And the data showed its audience was a bit different from typical games.
Yes, exactly. It had a higher proportion of users aged 25-34 and more users from those smaller local cities compared to the average mobile game.
Suggesting it really hit the mark for that specific Yuánnián Ren situation.
Seems like it. Something engaging to do indoors, maybe together, perfectly timed. And beyond gaming, short video was massive.
For greetings, you mentioned.
Yeah, especially greetings. Douyin reported like 1.3 billion greeting videos shared. And people participated in those red envelope campaigns through the video apps, too.
Okay. And what about offline? You mentioned movies earlier, even with restrictions.
Yes, the theatrical box office hit a record high, 7.82 billion RMB. And this was despite capacity limits in cinemas, capped at 75%.
So huge demand for getting out of the house, even locally?
Definitely. Strong demand for shared offline entertainment among those who stayed in the cities. And the data showed online movie ticket app usage was highest in places like Shanghai, big cities with lots of Yuánnián Ren.
It really seems the restriction on long-distance travel didn't stop people wanting experiences. It just shifted the focus much closer to home.
That's exactly right. The situation really reinforced this government concept of internal circulation, OFI, boosting the domestic economy. And for individuals, it manifested as local travel.
Meaning day trips, short trips nearby.
Yeah, trips within their own city or maybe just within their province. Exploring their own backyard, basically.
Instead of going across the country, did the data show an increase here?
A huge increase. Your sources show bookings for this kind of local travel were 7.6 times higher than the previous year.
7 times higher.
And daily active users on the online travel apps, they also jumped significantly, up by over 53%.
From about 1.8 million in 2020 to almost 2.8 million in 2021. Wow.
Yeah. And the popular destinations for this local travel were often things right within the cities themselves. City parks, museums, maybe an urban theme park like Shanghai Disneyland.
Yeah.
It really reinforced that local focus.
This must have been a massive relief for, say, the urban hotel industry.
Oh, it was a much-needed lifeline for them, absolutely. After a really tough period with travel restrictions, hotels in cities saw a significant boost.
How much?
Urban hotel sales increased nearly 3 times over. Bookings for high-end hotels were up 2.6 times. Even Valentine's Day bookings, which falls around that time, saw a big jump compared to the previous year. This local demand provided really crucial support.
And this shift wasn't just about travel and entertainment. It also impacted shopping, even what people ate for that big New Year's Eve dinner.
Definitely. Traditionally, that pre-spring festival shopping spree is all about, Lucky Charms, kei, decorations like the red couplets you hang on doors, and preparing tons of traditional foods.
But in 2021, with that focus on health and hygiene, what people bought changed.
Exactly. Popular items suddenly included things like, PCR test kits, kind of essential if you were even thinking about any potential travel or gatherings.
Practical.
Yeah. And wellness items, too. Massage guns, foot baths, things for comfort and health at home. And interestingly, Hanfu, traditional Chinese clothing, was also really popular.
So a mix of practical pandemic needs and maybe a renewed interest in cultural identity or just dressing up for the local festivities.
Seems like it. And life services saw massive growth. Things like house cleaning, cooking assistance.
Getting help at home.
Yeah. One major platform for these home services, 582, saw its active users jump by over 53% in the week before Spring Festival, people prepping their homes. And requests for bigger, more expensive services like getting the whole house deep cleaned or having elaborate meals prepared for them, those increased significantly too. People were investing in making their local living spaces feel comfortable and festive.
And food delivery. Normally, cities clear out during Spring Festival, right? So delivery slows down dramatically.
Usually, yes, but not in 2021.
Oh.
Thanks to all those Yuánnián staying put, delivery was booming. Meituan, one of the biggest platforms, reported a 66% increase just in single-person orders.
People ordering just for themselves. Okay, let's talk about that New Year's Eve dinner. The Liu dumplings are a huge staple, right? Symbolizing wealth and making them together is a big family bonding thing.
Absolutely. A cornerstone tradition.
Did people still do that or just order everything in?
Well, dumplings remained popular, whether people made them or ordered them. That tradition held strong. But other dishes, they're often more flexible. And here's maybe the most surprising detail from your sources.
Yeah.
Crayfish. Yeah. Apparently, crayfish, which is often seen more as a casual snack, something you eat while watching TV, was actually the most popular delivered dish on Meituan for the New Year's Eve dinner that year.
No way. Crayfish as the top delivery item for the most important meal of the year. That really does underscore how much habits shifted.
It really does. It just highlights how convenience and, changing lifestyles, maybe individual preferences, are influencing even these really deeply ingrained customs.
You see parallels elsewhere too, right? Like in Japan, maybe people ordering frozen osechi instead of making it all from scratch.
Exactly. The practical reasons behind some food traditions, like osechi originally being preservation food for when shops were closed, well, those reasons have kind of diminished in an era of supermarkets open early and, of course, delivery. Convenience changes things.
So looking back at 2021, it's just so clear that technology acted as this essential bridge. It removed the barriers of time and distance, kept traditions alive, but in a digital form.
Yeah, but what's fascinating is that dual impact, isn't it? While it was incredibly convenient, absolutely enabling that situation, technology also inevitably changes, maybe even dilutes some of those traditional customs.
Right. Ordering the New Year's Eve dinner, even the dumplings, it's just not the same shared experience, that communal activity, as preparing it all together as a family.
Exactly. And it's really hard, maybe impossible, to put a simple good or bad value judgment on that kind of evolution,
Yeah. Customs have always changed. They evolve with the times, driven by practical shifts, urbanization, migration, or in this really unique case, a global pandemic forcing everyone's hand.
This whole situation really makes you think, how much of that digital adaptation was just temporary? A necessity born out of that specific crisis? And how much might actually represent a more permanent shift in how people celebrate, how they connect?
That's the big question. And from a business perspective, there's no question the Yuánnián phenomenon during that Spring Festival was undeniably a massive strategic opportunity for tech companies.
Oh, absolutely. It was like the perfect storm for them to accelerate penetration into those sinking markets, the smaller cities and rural areas, and to finally reach that older demographic, the elderly population, more effectively.
Using the urban youth even remotely as those digital go-betweens.
Yep. And deploying those huge, expensive, but ultimately cost-effective red envelope campaigns. They proved to be incredibly powerful catalysts for user acquisition and for just weaving their services even deeper into the fabric of daily life right across the country.
So we've really seen how this truly unprecedented global event dramatically reshaped a deeply traditional holiday. It accelerated technology adoption in ways that might have taken years otherwise.
Yeah, from digital red envelopes and these cloud greetings to,
Yeah.
online mahjong marathons keeping families connected, and even horror game nights bridging the physical distance.
This deep dive really highlights just how quickly human behavior can adapt when circumstances basically demand it.
And crucially, how strategically tech companies position themselves to, well, capitalize on these moments of change to expand their reach and influence.
So thinking about the future then, what does this all mean? Will these digital ways of celebrating, these adaptations, will they stick around even when traditional travel is easy again?
Or will that powerful draw of physical reunion, being together in person, see people eagerly snap back to the old ways? Will the cloud greetings fade when you can give a real hug?
It definitely gives you something to really consider, doesn't it? About that ongoing dance, that constant interplay between tradition and technology in all our lives.